The Intel Chronicles. Every mission hides a secret. Every secret has a story.
Bauer crouched behind a shipping container at the Miami docks, heart pounding as 3 armed men closed in. He counted silently, 3, 2, 1, then lunged forward with explosive force. A brutal fight ensued in the darkness. He disarmed the first attacker with a sharp twist to the wrist, used him as a shield against the second's gunfire, then delivered a knockout blow to the third man's temple. As sirens wailed in the distance, Bauer found a phone on one of the unconscious men. The screen showed a single message: "Drake knows you're coming." Bauer's jaw tightened as he stared at the words. 5 years hunting the ghost of the drug world, and now Drake knew his name. He pocketed the phone and disappeared into the night before the police arrived, his mind already racing through contingencies and countermoves. The next morning, Director Morrison slammed a folder on the conference table at FBI headquarters. "Bauer, you've taken down terrorists, traffickers, and cartels across 3 continents. But Drake? He's different." Bauer leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "They're all the same when they're in handcuffs, sir. Confidence or arrogance?" Morrison asked, his gray eyebrows raised. "Results." Morrison slid photos across the polished table. Bodies, crime scenes, devastation spanning continents. Drake's network moves $2 billion in narcotics annually. 15 countries. 0 confirmed photographs of the man himself. Witnesses either disappear or recant. Judges get bought. Agents get buried. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "We've lost good people trying to get close to him." Bauer studied the images carefully, committing faces and locations to memory. "Where do I start?" His distribution hub. "Miami. We have intel about a shipment coming through next week. Get close to his operation. Find the weak link." Morrison's expression hardened. "But Bauer, don't become another casualty statistic. Even you have limits." Bauer stood, gathering the files. "Consider it done." "That's what I'm afraid of," Morrison muttered as Bauer left the room. Driving to his apartment through Miami's congested streets, Bauer's mind drifted from the mission to darker territory. 3 failed relationships haunted him like ghosts. Sarah, who couldn't handle the lies required by his cover identities. Maria, who left after he missed their wedding rehearsal for an undercover operation. Jessica, who simply said, "You love the job more than you'll ever love me," before walking out of his life forever. She wasn't wrong, and that realization stung more than Bauer cared to admit. His phone buzzed at a red light. A dating app notification. He almost deleted it immediately, then paused, remembering Morrison's words from last month. "You're becoming the mission, Bauer. Don't forget you're human." Against his better judgment and every instinct screaming that relationships were liabilities in his line of work, he opened the app. Maybe it was time to try being human again, even if just for a little while. 3 days later, Bauer sat in a corner booth at a bustling coffee shop, laptop open with surveillance photos scattered digitally across his screen. He was tracking financial patterns in Drake's suspected front businesses when a voice interrupted his concentration. "Is this seat taken?" He looked up from his work. A woman stood before him, dark hair cascading past her shoulders, warm brown eyes that seemed to see right through his carefully constructed walls, and an easy smile that made the noise of the cafe fade into background static. Something in her presence made the world feel different, lighter somehow. "It's all yours," Bauer said, closing his laptop slightly. "I'm Shemaiah." She extended her hand with natural grace. "Michael," he replied, using his cover name with a practiced ease of someone who'd lived a dozen different identities. Her handshake was firm, confident. They talked, and the conversation flowed with unexpected ease. She was an art curator, she explained, recently moved to Miami for a position at a private gallery. She'd lost her mother young and been raised by her father, though their relationship was complicated, in ways she seemed reluctant to explore. Complicated how? Bauer asked, genuinely curious despite himself. Shemaiah's smile faltered for just a moment. He's protective, controlling actually, wants to dictate every aspect of my life. Sometimes I feel like I'm living in a gilded cage. She stirred her coffee absently. Beautiful bars are still bars, you know. Bauer understood cages better than she could possibly know. Why stay? He's family. The only family I have left. She changed the subject with visible effort. What about you, Michael? What do you do? Security consultant. Bauer lied with the smoothness of long practice. I help companies protect their assets, assess vulnerabilities, that sort of thing. Sounds dangerous. Sometimes. Mostly boring paperwork and risk assessments. He smiled. Not nearly as interesting as curating art. She laughed, a genuine sound that lit up her entire face, and something in Bauer's chest tightened, a feeling he thought he'd successfully buried with his last failed relationship. It was vulnerability, and it terrified him. Over the next 2 weeks, they met again and again. Coffee became dinner at intimate restaurants overlooking the bay. Dinner became long walks along South Beach, where they talked about everything and nothing while the Atlantic whispered against the shore. Bauer told himself repeatedly that it was just cover, a way to blend into civilian life, while he worked the Drake case from multiple angles. Just part of the mission, nothing more. But he was lying to himself, and on some level, he knew it. One evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold, Shemaiah said quietly, "I've never felt this comfortable with someone. Like I can actually breathe for the first time in years." Bauer took her hand, feeling the warmth of her skin against his. "I know exactly what you mean. My father would hate this," she whispered, a shadow crossing her face. "Why? He doesn't trust anyone around me. Thinks everyone wants something from me, wants to use me for something." She looked directly at him, those brown eyes searching. "Do you want something from me, Michael?" "Just this," Bauer said, pulling her close and meaning it more than he'd meant anything in years. "Just you." The kiss tasted like salt air and possibility, like maybe he could have something beyond the mission, beyond the endless pursuit of criminals and justice. For those few moments, Bauer let himself believe he could be someone other than a federal agent. Meanwhile, his investigation progressed with methodical precision. He'd identified 3 front companies definitively linked to Drake's operation. He'd planted surveillance equipment in 2 warehouses. He was tracking money flows through 7 offshore accounts using sophisticated financial software. The web was complex, but Bauer was patient and thorough. But he still didn't have Drake's location or real identity, and that gnawed at him. Then his partner, Agent Chun, called one evening while Bauer was reviewing case files. "We've got something big." Phone intercept from one of Drake's lieutenants. "The boss is meeting someone at the Fontainebleau Hotel tomorrow night. Room 1847. Bauer's pulse quickened with the familiar rush of a breakthrough. "I'll be there." "Bauer, be careful. If Drake's people spot you." "They won't," Bauer assured him, already planning camera angles and surveillance positions in his mind. The next night, Bauer positioned himself in a utility closet across from room 1847 at the Fontainebleau, professional camera with a telephoto lens ready. Hours passed with the slow agony of surveillance work. He'd learned patience years ago. Waiting was often 90% of the job. Finally, just after midnight, the door opened. A man emerged, early 60s, silver hair immaculately styled, expensive suit that probably cost more than Bauer made in a month, and eyes that were cold and calculating even from a distance. Behind him, 3 bodyguards moved with military precision. This was someone important, someone dangerous. Bauer snapped photos frantically, the camera's shutter whispering in the quiet hallway. After 5 years of chasing shadows and dead ends, He finally had Drake's face in clear focus. The mission was progressing exactly as planned. Then someone else exited the room, and Bauer's entire world tilted on its axis. Shemaiah stepped into the hallway, laughing at something Drake had said, adjusting his collar affectionately with a casual intimacy of deep familiarity. Like a daughter would with her father. Like family. No. This couldn't be happening. Bauer zoomed in with trembling hands, desperately hoping the camera was lying, that it was someone who just resembled Shemaiah. But it was her, the same dark hair, the same laugh he'd memorized, the same graceful movements. He watched her body language with his trained eye, the familiarity, the casual intimacy, the protective way Drake touched her shoulder before she left. His phone buzzed with a text from Chun. Facial recognition confirms. That's him. That's Drake. Who's the woman? Bauer couldn't type a response. Couldn't breathe properly. His hands felt numb as he watched Shemaiah kiss Drake's cheek tenderly before leaving separately, disappearing down the hallway and out of sight. The woman he'd fallen for was the daughter of the monster he'd spent 5 years hunting. Back at his apartment, Bauer sat in complete darkness. Surveillance photos spread before him like accusations. Evidence of Drake's empire. Murders, trafficking routes, corrupted officials, destroyed lives. And Shemaiah in the middle of it all, whether she knew it or not. Whether she was complicit or innocent didn't change the fundamental problem. His phone rang, her name flashing on the screen like a taunt. Michael, you haven't called in 2 days. Is everything okay? Her voice was concerned, genuine, and it made everything worse. We need to talk. In person. His voice came out flat, emotionless. Now. It's almost midnight. Now. Silence stretched across the line. Then, okay, your place. Yeah. When Shemaiah arrived 20 minutes later, slightly breathless from hurrying, Bauer didn't let her sit down or get comfortable. He couldn't afford comfort right now. Who are you? He demanded without preamble. What? Michael, you're scaring me. She took a step back, confusion and fear mingling in her expression. The man at the Fontainebleau Hotel. Who is he to you? Her face went pale in the dim apartment lighting. You followed me? Who is he, Shemaiah? Bauer's voice rose despite his attempts at control. She stepped back further, hand reaching for the doorframe as if needing support. My father. I told you we had a complicated relationship. Why were you following me? Your father. Bauer laughed, a bitter sound devoid of humor. Your father is Drake, the most wanted criminal in the Western Hemisphere. A man responsible for thousands of deaths, for flooding streets with poison, for corrupting everything he touches. Her eyes widened with shock and something else, recognition that her two worlds had just collided catastrophically. How do you know that name? No one knows that name. Bauer pulled out his badge from his pocket, letting it fall onto the table between them like a weapon. Because I'm the federal agent assigned to bring him down. I've been hunting him for 5 years. And you just became a material witness in a federal investigation. Shemaiah stumbled, catching herself on the doorframe, her legs suddenly unsteady. You're your FBI? And you're a drug lord's daughter. The words came out harsh, accusatory. I didn't choose my father, she shouted, her composure cracking completely. I didn't choose any of this. I didn't choose to be born into his world. But you knew. You knew who he was, what he does, the lives he destroys, and you said nothing. Bauer felt betrayed in a way he hadn't experienced since his first partner died because of leaked information. Tears streamed down her face, reflecting the street light from the window. What was I supposed to say? Hi, nice to meet you over coffee. My father runs a cartel. I wanted one normal thing in my life. One person who saw me, just me, not my last name, not my father's shadow, not the blood money that paid for my education. So you lied to me. So did you. Shemaiah shot back, anger breaking through her tears. Security consultant? How long were you planning to use me to get to him? Was any of it real, or was I always just an assignment to you? The accusation hit like a physical blow, landing somewhere near his heart. This wasn't. Bauer struggled to find words that were honest. Wasn't what? Wasn't part of your mission. She wiped her eyes roughly with the back of her hand. Tell me the truth, Agent Bauer. Did you ever really care about me? Or was I always just a stepping stone to catch the big fish? Just another tool in your investigation? Bauer opened his mouth to respond, then closed it. Because the honest truth was he didn't know anymore. He couldn't pinpoint where the cover identity ended and his real feelings began. The line had blurred weeks ago, and he'd let it happen. Shemaiah nodded slowly, reading his silence correctly. That's what I thought. She moved toward the door, each step deliberate. Shemaiah, wait. Bauer reached for her arm. She pulled away from his touch. My father was right about one thing. Everyone wants something. Everyone has an agenda. Her voice broke. I just thought you might be different. The door closed behind her with terrible finality. Bauer stood alone in his apartment, surrounded by evidence of his greatest professional breakthrough, feeling like he'd just failed at something infinitely more important than any mission. The silence pressed down on him like a physical weight. The next day, Shemaiah sat in her father's study at his mansion, eyes red and swollen from a sleepless night of crying. The room smelled of old leather and expensive cigars, familiar scents that now felt suffocating. Drake poured scotch into crystal glasses, his movements controlled and precise. Tell me everything, darling. Leave nothing out. His name is Michael Bauer. He's FBI. He's been investigating you. The words felt like betrayal, even though she knew they were necessary. Drake's expression didn't change, which somehow made it worse. He'd probably already known. And the relationship? How deep did it go? I didn't know who he was, Father. I swear on Mother's memory, I didn't know. Fresh tears threatened. But you know now. Drake sat across from her in his leather chair, studying her face with the intensity he usually reserved for business negotiations. What did you tell him about me? About our family business? Nothing. I haven't seen you in weeks before the hotel. I don't know anything about your business. That part was mostly true. She deliberately kept herself ignorant for years. That's by design, darling, to protect you from exactly this situation. He took her hand, his grip firm but not painful. This agent, do you love him? Shemaiah closed her eyes, fresh tears squeezing out. I don't know. Maybe. Does it matter anymore? It matters very much. Drake's voice hardened in the way it did when he was making strategic decisions. Because he will use that love against you, against us, against everything I've built. He'll make you think you can have both, him and your family. But you can't, Shemaiah. Not in this world. Not with what I do. Maybe I don't want to be in this world anymore, she whispered, the admission feeling both terrifying and liberating. Drake stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. You think you have a choice? The moment you were born, your path was set. You're my daughter, my heir, my only family. I've built this empire to give you everything you could ever want. I never asked for any of it. Shemaiah's voice rose to match his. But you've enjoyed it. Drake's voice boomed through the study. The private schools, the European travel, the art galleries, the freedom to pursue your passions without ever worrying about money. All funded by what you claim to despise. You've lived like a princess while keeping your hands clean and your conscience clear. Shemaiah flinched as if he'd struck her. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, and you're old enough to know that. Drake softened slightly, some of the anger draining from his voice. I've made difficult choices to protect you, to give you opportunities one never had. Soon, you'll have to make difficult choices too. That's what being an adult means. What does that mean? A cold feeling settled in her stomach. Drake didn't answer directly. Instead, he moved to the window overlooking his manicured grounds. This Agent Bauer, he won't stop. He's built a reputation on never failing a mission, never giving up. I've read his file, impressive, if you admire that sort of single-minded determination, which means eventually, inevitably, he'll come for me. And when he does, you'll have to decide whose side you're on. Blood or betrayal, family or fantasy. Across the city, in the FBI strategy room, Morrison reviewed Bauer's surveillance footage on the large monitor. This is solid work, Bauer. Really excellent surveillance. We can move on Drake's financial networks, freeze his assets, indict his lieutenants based on the money trails. He'll disappear, Bauer interrupted, leaning against the wall with crossed arms. The moment we move on his money, Drake will know someone got close. He'll vanish like smoke, re-establish operations somewhere else, probably in South America. We need to take him physically, put him in handcuffs. Based on what evidence? You have one photo and a hotel visit. Any lawyer worth their retainer will shred that in court. His daughter, Chun, who'd been silent until now, looked up sharply from his laptop. The woman from the hotel? Your girlfriend. She's not Bauer stopped, the denial dying on his lips. She's a witness. A valuable one. She can give us Drake's locations, his security protocols, his habits and patterns. Chin shook his head slowly, disbelief evident in his expression. Bauer, man, you're compromised. You need to step back from this case. Let someone else handle it. I'm fine. You're in love with the target's daughter. That's the literal definition of compromised in our handbook. Chen's voice carried genuine concern. This isn't like you. You're the most by-the-book agent I know. Morrison studied Bauer with the intensity of someone who'd been reading people for 30 years. Can you arrest her if it becomes necessary? Yes. The answer came quickly, automatically. Can you testify against her in court? Put her on the stand and destroy her credibility if that's what it takes to convict Drake. If it comes to that, yes. And if Drake gives you a choice, him or her, the mission or the woman, which do you choose? Morrison's eyes never left Bauer's face. Bauer met his director's gaze steadily. The mission. Always the mission. That's who I am. But even as he said the words with conviction, even as he tried to believe them with every fiber of his being, he wondered if they were still true. Something had changed in him, shifted in some fundamental way he didn't fully understand yet. 2 days later, Bauer received an anonymous text message on his secured phone. Southport, Warehouse 7, midnight. Come alone if you want Drake. It was obviously a trap. Even a rookie would recognize it. Chun agreed immediately when Bauer showed him the message. They'll ambush you, probably torture you for information about our investigation, then kill you and dump your body in the Atlantic. This is textbook criminal behavior. Then we use it against them, Bauer said, his mind already forming the tactical plan. I go in wired. You stay back with a tactical team in position. When Drake shows, and he will, his ego won't let him resist, we take him down. And if Shemaiah is there with him? Chin asked the question Bauer had been avoiding. Bauer's jaw tightened, a muscle twitching. Then she made her choice. I'll make mine. At midnight, Bauer entered the abandoned Warehouse 7, gun drawn and senses on high alert. The building smelled of rust and seawater. Moonlight streamed through broken windows high above, creating shadows that moved with the wind. His footsteps echoed on the concrete floor, announcing his presence to anyone listening. He counted exits automatically. 3, maybe 4 if the loading dock was accessible. Agent Bauer. Drake's cultured voice emerged from the shadows near the back of the warehouse. Punctual. I appreciate that quality in a man. Drake stepped into a shaft of moonlight, flanked by 4 armed men who moved with military precision. Bauer counted exits again, calculated odds, assessed weapons. Not good, but not impossible. Where's Shemaiah? Bauer demanded, his gun steady. Safe. Away from you and your corrupting influence. Drake circled slowly, like a predator sizing up prey. You know, I've outlasted 17 federal task forces over the years. Buried 32 agents who got too close to the truth. What makes you think you're different from all of them? I don't quit. I don't compromise. I don't fail. Drake smiled, an expression devoid of warmth. Neither do I, Agent Bauer, which creates an interesting problem for both of us. Only one problem. You're going to prison for the rest of your life. Am I? Drake gestured casually. More men emerged from the shadows, 8, 10, 12 armed guards. Too many. Or are you going to disappear like all the others? A tragic casualty in the war on drugs. They'll give you a star on a memorial wall somewhere at headquarters. Very heroic. Your mother will be proud. Bauer keyed his concealed microphone subtly. Chun, now would be an excellent time. Nothing happened. No tactical team storming in. No backup. Just silence and the sound of his own heartbeat. Drake noticed the gesture and smiled wider. Your backup? I'm afraid they encountered unexpected complications. Nothing fatal, you understand. Just significantly delaying. Road accidents, flat tires, that sort of unfortunate occurrence. Bauer's mind raced through scenarios. He was surrounded, outgunned, alone, and running out of options fast. I should kill you right now, Drake said conversationally, as if discussing the weather. Every practical instinct I have says eliminate the threat permanently. Make an example. But my daughter seems to think you're special somehow. That you're different. She's here. Bauer's heart jumped. I told you, safe, away from this ugliness. But she pleaded for your life quite passionately. Begged me, actually, which she's never done before. It was quite touching to see. Drake's expression hardened into something cold and terrible. So I'm offering you a choice, Agent Bauer. Walk away. Disappear. Request a transfer to another city, another case. Leave Miami, leave this investigation, and most importantly, leave my daughter alone. Do that, and you live to chase other criminals another day. Or you continue this pointless crusade, and I'll have no choice but to end it permanently, which will break Shemaiah's heart, but she'll understand eventually. She'll grieve, move on, and forget you. Family takes care of family, Agent Bauer. It's a principle you should understand. Bauer raised his gun, aiming directly at Drake's head. I have a better option. You surrender, come quietly, face justice for your crimes, and Shemaiah gets to live her own life free from your shadow. Drake sighed with genuine disappointment. I was afraid you'd say something noble and foolish like that. The armed men raised their weapons in unison, all trained on Bauer. 12 against 1. Impossible odds. Then gunfire erupted through the warehouse, but not at Bauer. Shemaiah stood at the warehouse entrance, silhouetted by the moonlight, a gun in her trembling hands. She'd fired into the ceiling, the shot echoing like thunder. Everyone froze. Shemaiah, what are you doing?
Father.
Drake's voice cracked for the first time, genuine emotion breaking through his controlled exterior. I'm done,
Father.
Done with all of this. Her voice shook, but held firm. Done with the lies, the violence, the blood money, the pretending. Put the gun down, darling. You don't understand what you're doing. No. She moved toward Bauer with determined steps. I've lived my whole life in your shadow. Made excuses for things I knew were wrong. Looked away when I should have faced the truth. Pretended I didn't know where the money came from, what you did to get it, whose lives you destroyed. But I knew, Father. I always knew. Tears streaked her face, reflecting the moonlight. And then I met him. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt like I could be someone different. Someone clean. Someone who wasn't drowning in guilt and shame. He used you, Drake said, his voice pleading now. He manipulated you to get to me. That's all you were to him, a means to an end. Maybe we both used each other at first. She glanced at Bauer, their eyes meeting across the warehouse. But at least he was trying to do something right. At least he was fighting for something beyond money and power. Shemaiah, listen to me. No, Father. You listen for once. Her gun hand steadied. I love you. You're my family, my only family. But what you do is wrong. It's destroying people, destroying families, destroying communities. And I can't pretend anymore that I don't see it. She turned to Bauer, and in her eyes he saw certainty, fear, and something that looked like love. There's a server in my father's estate. Digital records of every transaction, every shipment, every bribed official for the last decade. It's in his library, hidden behind the Rembrandt painting. You can't. Drake lunged forward, his composure completely shattered. She just did, Bauer said, his gun trained on Drake. Don't move another inch. Outside, sirens finally wailed in the distance. Chun and the tactical team poured through the doors, delayed by Drake's interference, but not stopped. Agents in tactical gear swarmed the warehouse, shouting commands, securing suspects. In minutes, the situation was contained. Drake stared at his daughter across the warehouse, betrayal and heartbreak warring on his face. "You've destroyed everything I built, everything I did for you." "No," Shemaiah whispered, lowering her gun as federal agents moved in. "I saved myself. And maybe I saved you too, Father. Maybe now you can stop running, stop hurting people, and finally face what you've done." Drake said nothing as they cuffed him, but the look he gave his daughter was one Bauer recognized. The look of someone whose world had just ended. 3 months later, Drake sat in federal custody awaiting trial. His empire was collapsing in spectacular fashion. Dozens of arrests, billions in seized assets, smuggling networks shut down across 3 continents. It was the biggest drug bust in FBI history, and Bauer's career had reached heights he'd once only dreamed of. But none of that seemed to matter much anymore. Shemaiah sat in a witness protection briefing room, reviewing documents about her new identity. Her life, as she knew it, was over, erased and replaced. New name, new city, new identity, new history. She'd become a ghost. Bauer entered the room, and the protection officer discreetly stepped outside. "You shouldn't be here," Shemaiah said without looking up from the paperwork. "My protective detail made an exception." He sat across from her at the metal table. "How are you holding up?" "I betrayed my father, destroyed my family legacy. I'm going to testify against the only parent I have left, sending him to prison for life." She laughed without humor, a broken sound. "How do you think I'm holding up? You did the right thing. The only thing." "Did I?" "Because it doesn't feel right. It feels awful. It feels like I cut out part of myself." She finally looked at him, and the pain in her eyes was almost unbearable. "Does it ever get easier?" "I don't know. I've never had to betray family." Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. "Shemaiah, I need you to know something." Bauer struggled with words in a way he rarely did. "That night we met, the coffee shop, that wasn't staged. I didn't know who you were. I didn't know you were Drake's daughter. Does it matter now?" "It matters to me. Because what I felt, what I still feel, that was real. Not the cover identity. Not the mission. You. The real you." She met his eyes, searching for deception and finding only honesty. "Are you asking me something, Agent Bauer?" "I'm asking if maybe, after all this is over, after the trial, after you start your new life in witness protection, if there's room in it for an agent who doesn't know how to quit, who doesn't know how to let go." Shemaiah smiled sadly. "I'm going to be in witness protection, Michael. You can't just visit me for coffee whenever you want. That's not how this works. I could request assignment to your protective detail." "Is that even allowed? Isn't there some rule against that?" "Probably not. Definitely not. But I've been bending rules since the day I met you." He took her hand across the table, their fingers intertwining. "I've had 3 failed relationships. They all fell apart because I chose the job every single time. Every mission came first, every arrest, every case. But sitting here now, thinking about you disappearing into protection and never seeing you again," his voice caught. "I can't do it. I can't choose the mission this time. You already completed your mission. Drake's arrested. You won. You got everything you wanted. That's not what I mean." Bauer stood, pulling her up with him. "I mean, I'm choosing you. If you'll have me, not as an agent protecting a witness, as a man who wants to know the real you. The one who isn't performing for her father or hiding from federal surveillance. Just Shemaiah, whoever she decides to become." She searched his face, looking for any trace of doubt or deception. "And who's the real Michael Bauer? The agent who never fails a mission? Or the man who came to my apartment with flowers and terrible jokes about art history?" "Both. Neither. I'm still figuring it out, honestly." He cupped her face gently in his hands. "But I'd like to figure it out with you. If you're willing to take a chance on a workaholic federal agent with commitment issues." She kissed him, and it tasted like truth this time. No more covers. No more lies. No more hidden agendas. Just 2 broken people trying to build something real from the wreckage. "Okay," she whispered against his lips. "Okay, yes. Let's figure it out together. The next day, Bauer sat in Morrison's office, a transfer request on the desk between them. Morrison leaned back in his chair, reading the document carefully. Assignment to witness protection detail, specifically Shemaiah Drake's case. This is highly irregular, Bauer. Unprecedented, actually. So was everything about this case, sir. The board will never approve it. Too many conflicts of interest, too many liability issues. Then I'll resign. Go private sector. But I'm not walking away from her, sir. Not this time. Morrison studied him for a long moment. 30 years of experience reading people evident in his gaze. You know, in 20 years of working with you, I've never seen you put anything before a mission. Not once. Not a birthday, not a holiday, not a relationship, nothing. There's a first time for everything. That there is. Morrison picked up his pen and signed the transfer request with a flourish. Don't make me regret this, Bauer. Thank you, sir. You won't. Bauer. Morrison called as he reached the door. What changed? What made you finally choose something over the mission? Bauer thought about Shemaiah in the warehouse, choosing truth over loyalty, love over safety, her own conscience over everything she'd ever known. He thought about the courage it took to betray the only family she had left. I learned that completing the mission isn't everything, he said finally. Sometimes the person is worth more than any arrest. Sometimes saving one person matters more than catching 100 criminals. Morrison nodded slowly. Get out of here before I change my mind. 6 months later, in a small town whose name didn't appear on any map, in a house under a new identity, Shemaiah Drake, now Sarah Mitchell, sat on her porch watching the sunset. Michael Bauer, officially assigned to her protection detail, but unofficially so much more, sat beside her. Do you miss it? She asked. The action, the big cases, the adrenaline. Sometimes, he admitted. But this is better. Sitting on a porch in nowhere, America. Sitting on a porch with you. He took her hand. Knowing you're safe. Knowing you're free. That's better than any arrest. She leaned her head on his shoulder. My father's trial starts next month. I know. You ready? No. But I'll do it anyway. She paused. Do you think he'll ever forgive me? I don't know. Does it matter? It shouldn't. But it does. She was quiet for a moment. I destroyed my family. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing. You saved yourself. You stopped him from hurting more people. That took more courage than anything I've ever done in my career. You really believe that? I know it. He kissed the top of her head. You're the bravest person I've ever met. They sat in comfortable silence as the sky deepened from orange to purple. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. A car drove past with music playing softly. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. The kind of sounds Shemaiah had never truly appreciated until now. I start teaching art classes at the community center next week, she said. Under my new name, of course. Sarah Mitchell, art enthusiast with a mysteriously vague past. How does it feel? Starting over. Terrifying. Liberating. Both at the same time. She turned to look at him. I get to choose who I become now. Not my father's daughter. Not Drake's heir. Just me. Whoever that is. I'm looking forward to finding out, Bauer said with a smile. Even if I turn out to be boring? A small town art teacher with a quiet life. Especially then. He meant it. After years of chasing chaos and danger, boring sounded like paradise. Inside the house, Bauer's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, Chun. For a moment, he considered ignoring it, but old habits died hard. I should take this. It might be about the trial. Go ahead. Bauer stepped inside, answering as he walked. Chun, what's up? Just checking in on you, man. Making sure you haven't lost your mind completely out there in suburbia. Chen's voice carried genuine warmth beneath the teasing. Still have most of my sanity. Thanks for asking. How is she? How's Shemaiah handling everything? She's strong. Stronger than she knows. Bauer watched her through the window, still sitting on the porch, face turned toward the darkening sky. She's going to testify. No hesitation. That's good. The prosecutors need her testimony to lock Drake away for life. Without it, his lawyers might find loopholes. Chun paused. How are you holding up? It can't be easy watching her go through this. It's not. But I'm not going anywhere. Never thought I'd see the day. Michael Bauer, legendary Fed. Settling down to protect one person instead of chasing down entire criminal empires. Maybe I finally figured out what's actually worth protecting, Bauer said quietly. Yeah. Well, don't go completely soft on us. The world still needs good agents who don't quit. I'm not quitting. Just refocusing priorities. After hanging up, Bauer returned to the porch. The stars were beginning to emerge, pinpricks of light against the deepening darkness. Everything okay? Shemaiah asked, just checking in. The prosecutors are confident about the case. Your testimony will seal it. She nodded, anxiety flickering across her face. I'll have to see him. Face him in court while I tell everything I know. I'll be right there with you. Every moment. You won't be alone. Will he hate me? I mean, more than he already does. Bauer sat back down beside her. I think part of him might understand eventually. Not forgive, maybe, but understand that you had to choose your own path. Or maybe he'll just hate me forever. Her voice was small. Maybe I deserve that. Hey. Bauer turned her face toward him gently. You don't deserve that. You didn't create his empire. You didn't make his choices. He put you in an impossible situation, and you chose the only path that let you live with yourself. By betraying him. By refusing to be complicit. There's a difference. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. You saved lives, Shemaiah. How many people won't become addicted because Drake's network is shut down? How many families won't be destroyed? You did that. She leaned into his touch, closing her eyes. I just wish it didn't hurt so much. I know. But pain means you're human. Means you care. That's not a weakness. They sat together as night fully settled around them. Two people trying to build something good from the ruins of everything they'd known before. It wasn't easy. Some days, Shemaiah woke up crying, mourning the father she'd loved despite everything. Some days, Bauer wondered if he'd made the right choice, giving up the career that had defined him for so long. But then they'd have mornings like the next one, coffee on the porch, talking about nothing important, laughing at stupid jokes. Shemaiah would show him sketches she was working on for her art classes. Bauer would tell her stories from his early days in the FBI, the funny ones that didn't involve death or danger. They'd cook dinner together, argue about what movie to watch, fall asleep on the couch mid-film. It was ordinary, mundane, normal. It was everything neither of them had ever really had before. The day of the trial came too quickly. Bauer drove Shemaiah to the courthouse in an unmarked car, following security protocols. She wore a simple blue dress, her hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She looked younger, somehow vulnerable. I can't do this, she said suddenly as they pulled into the secure parking garage. Michael, I can't. I can't look at him and destroy him. Yes, you can. Bauer put the car in park and took her hands. You're the strongest person I know. You've already done the hardest part, making the choice. This is just following through. What if I freeze? What if I can't speak? Then you take a breath, look at me in the gallery, and remember why you're doing this. Not for revenge, not for the FBI, for yourself, for your future, for every person who won't suffer because you had the courage to speak truth. She nodded, breathing deeply. Okay, I can do this. That's my girl. They walked into the courthouse through a side entrance, surrounded by federal marshals. The building was old, imposing, with marble floors that echoed with every footstep. Bauer had testified in dozens of courtrooms over his career, but this felt different, more personal, more important. In the courtroom, Drake sat at the defense table in an expensive suit, his silver hair perfectly styled despite months in custody. He looked every inch the successful businessman, not the criminal kingpin responsible for untold suffering. His eyes found Shemaiah immediately as she entered, and something flickered across his face. Pain, anger, betrayal, love all mixed together. Shemaiah faltered for just a moment, then straightened her shoulders and walked to her seat, without looking at him again. The prosecution called her to the stand after 2 hours of preliminary testimony from other witnesses. Shemaiah stood, smoothed her dress, and walked forward. Her hand shook slightly as she placed it on the Bible to swear her oath. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." Her voice was barely above a whisper. The prosecutor, a sharp woman in her 50s named Patricia Coleman, approached with a gentle smile. "Please state your name for the record." "Shemaiah Elizabeth Drake." "And what is your relationship to the defendant?" "He's my father." A murmur ran through the courtroom. Coleman waited for it to settle. "I know this is difficult, Ms. Drake. Take your time with the questions. If you need a break at any point, just let us know." "Thank you. Can you tell the court about your father's business activities?" Shemaiah took a breath, her eyes finding Bauer in the gallery. He nodded encouragingly. "My father ran an international drug trafficking network. He imported narcotics from South America and distributed them throughout the United States and Europe." "And how do you know this?" "Because I lived in his house. Because I saw the men who came and went at all hours. Because I overheard conversations. Because when I was 16, I walked into his office and saw things I shouldn't have seen." Her voice grew stronger. "And because eventually I couldn't pretend anymore that I didn't know." Drake's lawyer objected repeatedly, trying to suppress her testimony on technical grounds, but the judge overruled him each time. Shemaiah continued, describing the server in Drake's library, the coded conversations, the sudden wealth that appeared and disappeared. Then Coleman asked the crucial question, "Did you provide federal agents with access to your father's digital records?" "Yes." "Why?" Shemaiah finally looked at her father. Their eyes met across the courtroom. "Because I loved him. Because I didn't want him to hurt more people. Because I thought maybe if he was stopped, maybe if he faced consequences, he could finally stop running. Stop being the monster everyone feared. Maybe he could be just my father again." Tears streamed down her face. "I know that sounds naive, but I had to try to save him, even if it meant destroying everything." Drake's composure cracked. His jaw tightened, and for just a moment, his eyes glistened with unshed tears. The cross-examination was brutal. Drake's lawyer tried to paint Shemaiah as a rebellious daughter seeking revenge, as mentally unstable, as having been coerced by the FBI. But she held firm, answering each question with increasing confidence. "Isn't it true that you were romantically involved with Agent Bauer, the lead investigator on this case?" "Yes." "And isn't it true that this relationship began while he was investigating your father?" "Yes." "So you betrayed your father for a man, for romance?" The lawyer's voice dripped with disdain. "No." Shemaiah's voice rang clear. "I made a choice between right and wrong, between continuing to enable destruction or having the courage to stop it. Yes, I fell in love. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because my father is guilty, and I refuse to protect him from the consequences of his actions anymore." The lawyer tried several more angles, but Shemaiah didn't waver. When she finally stepped down from the stand 3 hours later, she looked exhausted, but unbowed. Bauer met her in the hallway outside the courtroom. She collapsed into his arms, shaking. "It's over," he murmured into her hair. "You did it. You were incredible. I destroyed him. You told the truth. There's a difference." "Is there?" She pulled back, wiping her eyes. "Because right now it feels exactly the same." The trial continued for another week. Expert witnesses testified about the drugs seized, the money laundered, the lives destroyed. Agents described the elaborate network Drake had built. Financial experts traced billions through offshore accounts. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Drake was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. As the marshals led him away, he looked at Shemaiah one final time. His expression was unreadable: anger, sorrow, acceptance, all mixed together. "I'm sorry, Father," Shemaiah whispered, though he was too far away to hear. In the months that followed, Shemaiah slowly built a new life. Her art classes at the community center were popular. She made friends who knew her only as Sarah Mitchell, the quiet art teacher with a mysterious past. She planted a garden behind the house. She learned to cook beyond the basics. She laughed more. But sometimes, late at night, Bauer would wake to find her crying silently in the darkness. "I'm sorry," she'd say. "I don't know why I'm still crying. I made my choice." "Because he's still your father," Bauer would reply, holding her close. "Because grief doesn't follow logic. Because you can know you did the right thing and still mourn what you lost." "Will it always hurt this much?" "No. It'll get easier. Different, but easier." He'd stroke her hair. "And I'll be here, however long it takes." 1 year after the trial, Shemaiah received a letter. It had been screened by the Marshal Service, cleared of any threats or coded messages. Just a letter, in her father's handwriting. She stared at it for 3 days before finding the courage to open it. Bauer sat beside her as she read, ready to support her however she needed. The letter was short. "Shemaiah, I've had a year to think in this cell. A year to face what I built, what I did, what I became. You were right, I was a monster. I told myself I was building an empire for you, giving you opportunities, protecting you. But the truth is, I was protecting myself, my ego, my power. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know what you did took more courage than anything I ever did. I built an empire through fear and violence. You destroyed it with truth. In this, you proved yourself stronger than I ever was. I hope you find peace. I hope you find happiness. I hope you become the person you were meant to be, not the person my shadow tried to force you into. Live well, daughter. Live free. Your father." Shemaiah read it twice, then carefully folded it and set it aside. She sat in silence for a long time. "How do you feel?" Bauer asked gently. "I don't know. Sad, relieved, grateful." She leaned against him. "Maybe a little bit of peace, finally." "That's good. That's progress." "Michael." "Yeah. Thank you. For not leaving. For staying even when it was hard, even when I was a mess, even when it would have been easier to walk away. I told you I don't quit. Especially not on the people I love." He kissed her forehead. "Besides, you're worth it. Every difficult moment, every tear, every late night. All of it." She turned to face him fully. "I love you. I don't think I've said that enough. But I do. I love you for seeing me, for choosing me, for giving up your career to build this life with me." "I didn't give anything up," Bauer said seriously. "I traded one mission for a better one. Protecting you, building a life with you. That's not a sacrifice. It's the best thing I've ever done." They kissed, and it tasted like hope and healing and new beginnings. Outside, the sun was setting again, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Tomorrow, Shemaiah would teach her art class. Bauer would review security protocols and check in with the Marshal Service. They'd cook dinner together, argue about what to watch, fall asleep on the couch. It was ordinary. It was beautiful. It was theirs. Agent Michael Bauer had spent 5 years hunting ghosts and building a reputation on never failing a mission. But he'd learned something more valuable than any arrest record. Sometimes the real mission wasn't catching the criminal. Sometimes it was saving the person. Sometimes it was choosing love over duty, truth over loyalty, the future over the past. And sometimes the person you were hunting became the person you were saving. And the person you were saving became the person who saved you right back. Drake's empire was destroyed. Hundreds of arrests were made. Billions in drugs were kept off the streets. It was the biggest case of Bauer's career, the kind of success that should have defined him forever. But when he looked back years later, none of that would matter nearly as much as the quiet moments on a porch with Shemaiah, watching sunsets, and building a life from the wreckage of everything that came before. That was the real victory, not the arrest, not the trial, not the conviction. The victory was two broken people finding each other, choosing each other, and healing together. The victory was love. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button right now. Seriously, we want to know if you're still here after that emotional journey. Drop a comment below and tell us, Would you have made the same choice as Shemaiah? Could you betray family for what's right? Or would you have stood by your father no matter what? We read every single comment, and your perspective matters. And if you want more stories that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty, love, and justice, subscribe to this channel and smash that notification bell. We drop new stories every week that explore the gray areas of morality, the impossible choices real people face, and the thin line between right and wrong. Share this video with someone who loves a good thriller with heart. Tag them in the comments. Send them the link. Let's start conversations about what really matters, not just the mission, but the people we're fighting for. Thanks for sticking with us through this hour-long journey. We know your time is valuable, and you chose to spend it here with Bauer and Shemaiah's story. That means everything to us. Until next time, stay safe, stay honest, and remember, sometimes the bravest thing isn't completing the mission. It's knowing when to change what the mission means. Sometimes the person is worth more than the prize. Sometimes love is the real victory. We'll see you in the next story.
The Intel Chronicles. Every mission hides a secret. Every secret has a story.